Hey everyone, welcome back to Friar Talk. We are here after the Padres took a three-game series from the Tampa Bay Rays in San Diego, and now we're going into a four-game series against the San Francisco Giants. Pretty exciting homestand for the Padres, where they go 4-2 against the Cleveland Guardians and the Tampa Bay Rays, the best team in baseball, which is the Tampa Bay Rays. Pretty encouraging stuff. I think going into the series, I had said that I'd be thrilled if we went 4-2 against those two teams. And nonetheless, we did go 4-2 against those two teams. And in a rubber match against the Tampa Bay Rays, you saw the Padres come out 5-4. A lot of Padres fans, they were pretty pessimistic when it came to this Rays series, which I understand. That's the best team in baseball. They pitched McClanahan the first game. A lot of people seem to be having regrets over having Darvish and Weathers switch in their starts, which I could completely understand. You could have seen the Padres win the first three games if Darvish would have stayed on his scheduled start, and you were probably going to lose the first game against the Rays anyway against McClanahan. But Chase, what were some of your takeaways from this Rays series, and what are you looking forward to in the Giants series?
The one thing that I will take away that I really liked was the use of small ball. We won one game off of small ball, and they weren't hitting, and they decided to bunt three times in a row, and it worked. I mean, when you take chances like that, and you're struggling to hit the ball, sometimes it's the best way. Hey, you know what? They laid down three bunts. They got runners on second and third after Tatis had the sack bunt. It was a failed drag bunt, but oh well, it was almost successful. And then I believe it was Soto hit a sack fly, and they scored a run. I mean, small ball baseball works, especially when sometimes the lineup is struggling through it. But they played good against the Rays. I mean, they played really well against the Rays. I didn't think like a lot of people were going to take 2 out of 3. Snell against his former team threw a gem. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet. I forget who it was. I think it was AJ Cassavell. It may have been Passan, but it was basically a tweet calling out Kevin Cash. He was like, a great start for Snell against his former team. Though he probably should have been taken out after 5 1/3 inning with the way he was pitching. I was like, yeah, it was kind of nice to see. They let Snell go out there, get the full 6. What he struck out, was it 12 or 13? It was 12, right?
It was 12. It was 12 guys and 6.
Yeah. When you were pitching like that, man, it looks like we got second half Snell early, and that's a great thing. I think in his last 7 games, he had a 2.25 ERA. Musgrove been pitching pretty good. He's finally kind of came back from the injury, kind of got through his early season woes, and now we have 2 of the most consistent guys on the mound back to back, which is great. Darvish struggled a little bit, but that could be due to his day being moved up. He looked fine in the beginning, and then he started to struggle with his command a little bit, and that's where he sort of started to get hurt. And a couple of those balls were barely fair, which kind of hurts because they're a little early on them. They don't bring in 3 runs, and then there's the 3-run shot. So can't win them all, but outside of Darvish's start, the team played well.
Yeah, definitely. Very encouraging to see what the Padres have been doing. I see, Devin, you're saying that you're not fully convinced that they're back yet, and I understand that. They still didn't look that great with runners in scoring position. I believe they only hit 200 with runners in scoring position during the homestand, but I mean, for me right now, as long as they're getting the job done, they're getting their wins, then I'm going to be happy for now. Coming up this series, we got Waka, Lugo, Snell, Darvish, or Darvish Snell. It's Waka, Lugo, Darvish, Snell coming up, and Darvish doesn't pitch against the Giants in San Francisco, but I'm pretty excited to see how we hold it down this series. I mean, it's a huge series. It's a really big series. The Giants are up 4 games on us. Dodgers are up 4 games on us. The Giants are coming into the series red hot after sweeping the Dodgers. And they got, I don't know who's on the mound tonight. It was supposed to be Cobb, but he went on the IL. So it's a pretty important series for both teams, for the Giants to be able to separate from us and for us to be able to catch ground on them. Going back to the last series, Darvish, he did have a pretty bad start. And like you said, a lot of it was kind of just, there was some luck in there for the Rays. But what's been weird about Darvish is that normally he can go 4 or 5 innings that are pretty solid innings. And there's just one inning where like two guys get on and he gives up a home run, and it's suddenly a 3-run home run. And um, I don't know if that's an issue for you, Darvish, or if it's just like a bad luck sort of thing, because his ERA is pretty high. And not that I expect it to be high for much longer. I still think he's got good stuff. He's still throwing. I mean, he threw a 97-mile-per-hour fastball the other day. His stuff looks good still. He's locating okay. So I don't know what's wrong. I would say there's just some batted ball luck that's going the other team's way. But I think Yu Darvish is going to bounce back here soon. Maybe not in this series, but I do think soon enough he will be the Yu Darvish that we know. But going back throughout this homestand, Fernando Tatis Jr. was probably the best player on the field. He looked like, again, one of the top 5 players in baseball. He's up to 2.8 WAR, which is 11th in baseball right now, behind some position players like Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, obviously Shohei Ohtani, but that's a given. So there's I mean, he's catching ground. He missed 20 games. He's already 11th in WAR, and he leads, I believe he leads all of the outfielders in NL WAR, or not WAR, defensive runs saved and outs above average. So he looks like an elite outfielder, like a superstar outfielder. Chase, what do you think of what you've seen from Fernando in the outfield so far? And kind of, I feel like we were all saying that he wouldn't be that good in the outfield to start. Yeah, but he's been amazing. So what do you think? Yeah, he's just good.
He is him. I mean, like Devin mentioned it, he literally saved the game yesterday. That was dope. You know, beating out ground balls. He's taking the extra bag whenever he needs to. He's doing everything. He's getting home runs. He's beating infield singles out. He's getting on base. He's stealing. He's making incredible plays in the outfield. He's throwing guys out. He's doing everything. I mean, it's more or less a question of what can't he do, of what can't, more than what can he do. I mean, we knew he was good. We knew he was going to take a little bit of an adjustment for right field. And in spring training, it looked like he was going to take like okay, maybe by in right field, you know, because he's going to miss 20 games. Doesn't look like he's really missing a beat. After those 20 games and after spring training, it looked like he was going to take an adjustment period. Doesn't look like he needed it at all. His arm's playing very well for right field. I don't know how hard he threw the one at home plate, but I'm pretty sure he had another 98-mile-per-hour assist. He's just doing his thing. He's holding runners back. They're not taking the extra bag against them because they're afraid of his arm. It's kind of nice to have. I mean, Renfroe was kind of like that, but he threw lasers, but sometimes they weren't very accurate. Whereas with Tatis, you really haven't seen that. Most of the throws have been right on the line, right on the dot, within the reach of fielder. It's been great. Tatis for MVP. I know it's going to kind of be hard because Acuna is just a base stealing monster. But if we get Tatis to be just as aggressive on the base pass, we can easily see 2 guys go 40-40.
Yeah, and that's going to be a crazy thing to see if Fernando's able to do it with the amount of games that he missed. But yeah, he's up to 2.8 WAR right now. Again, he's arguably the best defender out in right field right now. And in all of baseball, he's third in defensive run saved and outs above average. I believe I know one guy ahead of him in defensive run saved is Ha-Seong Kim. I forget who the other one was, but I mean, to have 2 superstar defensive talents on our team, it's definitely been a plus for us. But Fernando, you know, it's going to be time, if he keeps playing like this, it's going to be time to put him up in the MVP ranks, because right now I know that from what Matt showed us, it was Acuna was the favorite, Freeman was second, Betts was up there, Murphy was up there. But if we were to say, hey, you know, Fernando did play those 20 games, Fernando would be probably top 5 in WAR right now if he's playing the way that he is right now, or even just average. He'd be probably like a 3.3 WAR, which would be either top 5 or top 10. I know top 10 for sure. Would be right there with like Wander Franco, who's at 6 or 7. So, I mean, there's not much to say about the guy because we already knew how good he was. I think it was a lot to prove coming off the steroid suspension. It seemed like a lot of people were going to think like, oh, well, let's see if he's good without steroids. And we had kept saying like, no, we don't think he took steroids prior to this. No way to prove that. But there's also no way to prove that he was taking steroids before that. So right now, with a lot to prove, with a chip on his shoulder, being one of the villains, quickly turning into one of the heroes again of the MLB, you're seeing Fernando
Play the
perform.
villain role. Play the
Yeah,
villain role. It's so
that's the
much
thing,
better.
and he
So
does
much
it
more
so
entertaining.
he does it so well. He's handled it super well. He's mocked it. I mean, it's fantastic what he's done out there. So he's arguably the most, outside of Shohei Ohtani, arguably the most exciting player in baseball right now. Again, and he was that in 2021, and here we are again talking about him as the most exciting player in baseball outside of, I mean, the greatest player to ever do it. So not much to say about the guy, but really he's everything that the Padres could have needed this season, and especially right now during the time where they were losing a bunch of games. They hadn't won a series and who knows how long, and now they've won 3 in a row because Fernando's been the best player in baseball, or the second best player in baseball, ever since those 3 series started. So other than that, though, I mean, there's not really the players themselves. There's not really much to talk about. Like Manny's still doing okay. I don't know. I don't know his exact numbers from this past series. Juan Soto's definitely cooled down. Um, I mean, the rest I can't give you the exact numbers, but it's just that Fernando looked like such a spotlight. It was hard to pay attention to many of the other guys because he looked so damn good. But as far as the pitching goes, you brought up Blake Snell, 0.6 ERA in his last 3 or 4 starts, striking out guys left and right, 12 strikeouts in his last outing. Blake Snell is normally the guy that starts the series slow and picks it up in July. Well, he picked it up in mid-May or late May. Is this going to be a sign of how things are going to be for the rest of the season? Or because I mean, I think this is it. I think this is the Blake Snell we're going to get for the rest of the season. He's going to have those games where we're like, damn, like that's a typical like Blake Snell every 3rd or 4th start type of thing, But yeah, I mean, but right now he's been fantastic.
His last 7 games, he has a 2.25 ERA. His last 7 starts, that's his July of, was it 21, was, I don't think anything can compare to that. That was like some of the best pitching I've ever seen in my life. If he continues that, dude, he's going to throw himself into the Cy Young race. And we talked about it, I think, at the beginning of the season, maybe before the season started. But if the Padres wanted to be World Series contenders, we kind of needed Blake Snell to have a Cy Young year. And here he is. He's proving his point. Hey, maybe the Padres sign him to an extension. He is a free agent after this year, right? Or is it next year?
Blake is free agent after this year.
Yeah. So maybe a little extension hit away. If he continues pitching like this, I can't give any reason not to give him an extension.
Right. Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. Whoever's going to throw a bag at him, I mean, congrats. I think they're going to get a great pitcher because, I mean, it's not like when you look at him from a start of season standpoint, people are going to be pissed. I mean, we were pissed because we didn't know that he was bad in the first half. In 2021, I genuinely did not know that he wasn't that good in the first half, so I just thought he just sucked. But then, you see that little stint in 2021 where he throws, what was it, like 17 no-hit innings in a row, and you see, like, dude, this is the Blake Snell that you could get for a potential whole season if you're able to get it out of him. And here we are mid-June, and we're talking, 2.25 in his last 7 starts, 0.60 in his last 3 or 4 starts. He looks fantastic. He looks like ace of the staff, and it's really no question right now because, I mean, Joe Musgrove's throwing some quality starts, but it's not as dominant as we've seen. Yu Darvish, same thing. Michael Walker looks dominant, but not 0.60 in his last 3 or 4 starts dominant, with probably above 10K per 9. So it's been super impressive to see what Blake Snell's done. I don't know what Blake Snell's worth is right now. As far as the contract extension goes, I would assume it's 20 mil plus. But if he's pitching like this, if he's giving you stretches like this, it's hard to argue that he's not worth it for us or whatever team wants to go and get him. I see Jaron talking about the return of hopefully Suarez, both Suarez and Morejon. I don't know if you saw, but Suarez is throwing. I think he's starting to throw off speeds again. Morejon starting to throw in the minors. So right now, the Padres, as of I think since May, have the 3rd best bullpen in baseball. Add those two, and you're looking at maybe still a top 5 bullpen in baseball. We're having a little bit of issues. Yeah, maybe even the best. Exactly. We're having a little bit of issues sometimes when we have to throw Martinez and Hader back to back because the next day you got to throw Garcia. But you throw Suarez in there instead of Garcia. You throw Morejon in there instead of like Kerr, or you throw him in for Carlton, or not Carlton, or yeah, Carlton. And you're looking at one of the best bullpens, if not the best bullpen in baseball. Chase, what do you think of hopefully the return of Suarez and Morejon?
Those two would be great, but even a bigger addition to that would be Cosgrove. I mean, if you look at it, Cosgrove has been pitching out of his mind before he went on the IL, and then you throw him into the mix, and then maybe you don't have to throw Tim Hill. Maybe Garcia is like, yeah, you're gonna go out there and pitch like when we're up by like 5 runs, so that even if you do struggle, hey, you know what, you can give up a few runs and we're still gonna be okay. I mean, the potential that this bullpen has. I mean, having Cosgrove and Morejon back, you don't have to rely on Ray Kerr, which he has been killing it in the minors. He had a good outing, but he still has yet to really figure it out at an MLB level. Morejon's going to be a reliever, and depending on how he does this year, maybe you extend Hader, maybe you don't, maybe you kind of ease him into the potential of being a closer like Josh Hader was, and he throws 100. He has the nasty slider. He has this little. It's a knuckle change. And if you can get those down, maybe you don't have to extend Hader and then focus ending, maybe Snell, or possibly going and getting another starting pitcher, saving that money and going after Ohtani. Yeah, having Hader would be great, but I feel like it's a luxury we can't afford right now because we do have some starting pitchers that are leaving after this year, and they're going to cost a lot of money to come back. So having those guys come up and be successful, I think is the biggest thing that we can take away from this season. We know Suarez and what he can do. Can Cosgrove maintain it through a whole season? Can Morejon? Hell, even if Ray Kerr can come up and be a successful guy, yeah, having Hader leave at the end of the season would suck. But having those guys for years of small control and small contracts would be unmatched for this team.
No, Jason, you're absolutely right. The thing with the Padres right now is that you probably are going to lose Blake Snell, or maybe you can extend him, but Darvish isn't getting any younger. Musgrove isn't getting any younger. I don't really know who your pitchers are going to be next year after that. I think Waka, I don't know if he signs a 1 or a 2, but spending money on starting pitching over the offseason and of course, finding a way to finally start developing some arms, it's going to be crucial for this team, not only this upcoming year in 2024, but moving forward as well. And if it means letting Hader go, then, so be it, because at the end of the day, he only throws 1 inning, paying a lot of money for, who was it? The Mets that paid Edwin Diaz $20 million a year.
At the same contract Musgrove got it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think anyone will say, hey, that's a contract that's going to be worth it. He could be, what he was in 2022, and I still don't believe it would be worth it. That's just a lot of money to give a closer. That's a guy who only throws 1 inning, 60, 70 times a year. So I don't know, man, that's a lot to give up. I believe Hader will be around 17 or 18 as well, maybe even 20 with how he's pitching. But yeah, saving that money. And the good thing with the Padres is that they suck at developing starting pitching and even some hitters. But the one thing they've seemingly always had is a good closer. They had, they had Kirby Yates, who was an all-star. Trevor Rosenthal was good during his stint with us. Mark Melancon was good during his stint with us. Trevor Rogers, Rogers was pretty awful. Hader started rocky, but he ended up being pretty great. And going back for a while, we've always had.
Yeah, we can name a significant closer for like the past 10 years.
Yeah, we've always had some pretty good closers, so that's something that the Padres have always had on their side. But who's another person that we can talk about? I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head. How about Carp and Cruz? Carp and Cruz, they didn't have a good series, but I don't know if you saw Odor is going to be hitting in the DH spot today, I believe. So it looks like, and that should have been, that's been the move for the past 2 series. The move has been, look, it's time to start putting Odor in those spots because Carp and Cruz are not doing it right now. So What do you think? What do you think the Padres are going to do about Carp and Cruz? Do you think they're going to? I mean, I don't know if they're DFA candidates. I don't know if like what's the guaranteed money if they get DFA'd? Like, is there any guaranteed money? And we need to start looking at. I mean, we I think we talked about guys that we can get at the deadline, but yeah, it looks like we know what needs to be done as far as that DH spot goes.
Having Odor would be great, but I still feel like you need to upgrade it. I mean, you look at other teams and you look at their DHs and you go, wow, that is kind of, scary to pitch against, especially if they're throwing at them at the 4th spot or the 5th spot. You kind of don't want to deal with them. And you look at our DHs and you go, oh, give them me 100% of the time. I will walk 2 people to get to the DH because guess what? They're going to strike out. They're going to pop out. They're going to single. They're just going to, and they're not fast either. I remember when was it? It was a couple days ago. It was during the Rays series where I think it was like a 9th inning run, and I saw Cruz get on. It was like Cruz walked, and then there was a ball going into right field. If any other player was on, it would be runners with 1st and 3rd, 1 out. But since Cruz was on base, you know damn well he was not getting a 3rd, and if he even attempted to it, he would have been thrown out by a mile. Having some flexibility, hey, Odor is going to give you a little bit more speed. He's been hitting better. He's going to give you a little bit more power from the left side. But now you kind of need to find a right-hander that can do the same thing because, yeah, like Jaron said, he'll throw you a home run every blue moon. I like the beer, but not the kind of time that it takes for a Cruz to hit a home run. I mean, every blue moon is kind of like, yeah, every 15 to 20 games he's going to get you a home run, but in between that, what is he going to do? He's maybe going to get a single and then be a detriment on the base path.
No, you're absolutely right. And there was another instance, I think, against the Guardians in the last game against them where Trent Grisham hit a double off the wall that, I mean, if Cruz scores, Grisham's on 3rd, and we might score another run. Well, Cruz didn't score. He was stuck on 3rd. And I mean, that was the instance where I was like, all right, that was my last straw with these two. I can't do it no more. They're not, if you're not going to provide value at the play, I mean, let's be real here. They're not providing much value at the play right now. They're not providing any value on the base paths. I mean, the one thing they're supposed to be providing value at is the plate, and they're striking out at an absurd rate and not hitting for any power anymore. Whereas in April, early May, we were saying, hey, they're actually hitting for power. Both of them have an 800 OPS plus, not OPS plus, but you know what I mean. But they were looking like decent or good DHs, and now I believe both of them are easily under a 700 OPS and are striking out amongst the highest players in the league. So something needs to be done about those guys pretty fast. And right now, the only solution is to keep throwing Odor or like keep mixing it up, have Odor hit in the DH spot. I don't know what they're going to do about Carpenter. The good thing about Cruz is it's only $1 million for the year. So like if he's just sat on the bench, it's like, it's whatever, it's only $1 million. You're not losing much. Carp was a 2-year deal. And that's going to be bad. Not only this year, next year, that's going to be really, really bad.
So I remember just us seeing this post today, and I liked it on Twitter. It was from Divine Sports. It's because of the Reds, and you may be opposed to it because, you didn't like him when he was on the Padres, and he's on the Reds now, and he's not doing good. But if he gets DFA'd, would you bring Myers back for the league vet minimum, or would you prefer trying to get Jorge Alfaro and potentially using them as a DH/emergency outfielder?
The way things are going with Carp and Cruz, I would much, much rather have the younger, fresher legs than I would those two. Yes, Myers isn't doing good right now. Maybe it would help to have familiar faces, familiar ballpark, familiar everything. I know, he's not doing good, but I feel like the flexibility he provides you with being able to play outfield, being able to play first base, Shit, at one point he was third baseman too. But just the flexibility he's able to give you for a league minimum. If we're talking league minimum, I'm all for it. Problem was, exactly. The problem was that it was, millions and millions. But if we're talking league minimum, I'm cool with that. And I know, I see comments, guys. I know.
What if it's even if it's like $3 million? Well, like, what's the most you would spend on a potential DH? Because Alfaro and possibly Myers, and possibly because he might get DFA'd. What was the most you would spend on either or?
$3 million, 3 mil, 2.5. I don't feel like that's that much. I mean, if you're giving Carp 7 or 8 or 6, whatever it is, yeah, I know for sure I'm giving the younger guys 3-4 mil, whatever it is. So yeah, man, I know that he's not the best player. Trust me, I didn't like him that much. But you got to look at it from a standpoint of like, if he's gonna do something right, at least he's fast on the base pass. At least he's not bad at first base. He gives you something. That's the thing, is that he gives you something. The other guys give you jack shit. They give you nothing. Literally nothing. They hold. I would say personally, they hold the Padres back more than they do provide any value, and that I think would be a fair statement if you're talking to a Padres fan that watches every game, because it seems like it's each time that they come up with guys in scoring position and they don't execute. So, yeah, something's going to have to be done about that by the deadline.
No, 100%. Like, when you're looking at weaknesses in the Padres, it's DH. That is the one glaring hole. I mean, you can look at Trent Grisham and go, yeah, he's not hitting, but Trent Grisham also might be the unluckiest hitter in all of baseball. When you look at his baseball savant page, it is, like I said, a statistical anomaly how that man doesn't have more home runs or better average or better OPS. The guy has like a 62 percentile in average exit velo. He's in like the upper 70s, I think, in max exit velo. He's in like the 90 something percentile in barrels. And his expecting batting average is 1. He's in the first percentile for expected batting average. I don't know how that makes sense in any calculations, but that guy is the unluckiest hitter in all of baseball right now, and you cannot convince me otherwise. If he can just like pull it a little more and get more gap-to-gap hitting, we might be a really dangerous lineup. But as of right now, Grish is Grish. He provides you defense. They'd like to see him get on base a little more, and when he gets on base, steal a few bags. But I mean, that's the only other glaring hole. But even that glaring hole has positives to it. Our DHs don't. So, yeah.
No, yeah, that's the thing. I completely agree. Grisham, not a good hitter by any means, especially when it comes to batting average. Not a good hitter. Striking out, strikes out a ton. But like you said, at least he gives you something. He's cheap and he gives you something. These other guys don't give you jack. They don't give you anything. So, like we both have said, something's got to be done about that. But let's talk about this upcoming series. Let me see what the pitching matchup is today, because I know it changed from, it was supposed to be Waka against Cobb, but I was told that Cobb hit the IL. So I don't even know who's starting for the Giants today. But I'm trying to check right now. Oh my God, I can't stop burping, whatever it is. But damn, bro, Bleacher Report is so slow. We got Waka against Walker. I don't know who Walker is. But he comes in 2-0 with a 1.23 ERA. I don't really know if he starts many. Maybe there's gonna be a bullpen game for them. But we got Waka today. It's Desclafani against Lugo tomorrow. Darvish against I don't know the next day, and then Snell against Wood the next day. So these are going to be some pretty good matchups here. Chase, how many do you think we're going to take? who are you going to be looking at to have a big series? And I mean, I know it's only June, but it feels like a big series, doesn't it?
It definitely is a big series just because of the fact that the Giants are, I believe, still ahead of you in the standings. If not, they're like half a game up. Actually, no, they're probably more than that because they were whooping the Dodgers' ass, which is a good thing for us, but also
4 games
harms
up
us
on
because I forgot they were whooping the Giants' ass, or not the Giants' ass, the Dodgers' ass, which I mean helps and hurts us just because it hurts the Dodgers and they go lower in the standings, but it boosts the Giants up in the standings. So now what you need to do is do the same thing that they did to the Dodgers and whoop the Giants' ass so that you can potentially switch spots with them and then be closer to the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Hopefully the Diamondbacks start cooling down and kind of come back to earth. I know they've been kind of going crazy. I know we said they were going to be good, but I don't think anyone was expecting the Diamondbacks to kind of take over the NL West. That was not on my bingo card for the year. So basically, I want to see Soto get a little more hot. I know he's kind of cooled off for a little bit, still doing his thing, getting on base, but seeing him get a couple more doubles, a couple more home runs this series would be great. Tatis keeps doing his thing. Maybe let's see a couple, Cronenworth or Kim doubles, get on base, get some extra base hits here and there. If we can get those two guys just to get to like a 740 OPS and play the defense that they do, that would be invaluable to the team. Hopefully Gary Sanchez picks it up a little bit. I know he's kind of slumping a little bit after his crazy start. I knew he wasn't going to keep it up, but let's bring it up to, like, hey, you know what? Run every 10 games would be nice. You're muted, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if the starter today for the Giants is righty or he's a righty. So, I mean, looking for the lefties to have a big series this upcoming series. Cronenworth, Soto, Grisham. I mean, with Wood, Desclafani, and Walker on the mound, hopefully we're going to be able to see some good ABs from especially Soto and Cronenworth. But Manny, we need Manny to start getting real hot. Like, go on a tear for like a week or two type thing, because I think, yes, we're playing good right now. Some unearned runs here and there. So maybe, yesterday, if we take out those unearned runs, we would have lost, but that's not how baseball works, luckily. But I think we're going to ride as Manny goes. I think if Manny gets hot, hits, he's been doing, up until this past series or homestand, he was doing really good. But the thing is, he's been really good against lefties. Against righties, his numbers are they're really bad. They're pretty concerning to say. So maybe it's bad that we're facing nothing but righties when it comes to Manny, but we need him to get hot. We need him to get hot real soon because, 3.5 games back of the Dodgers right now, or 3.5 games back of the wild card spot. I believe we're 4 in back of the Giants and 6 to 7 in back of the Diamondbacks. And the Marlins got hot. They got crazy hot too. So I believe they've won 13 of their last 15, something like that. And they've been on fire. So we need them to cool down. But right now, all that matters is this series. I see someone said that we were going to split. I think the Padres need to take 3. I think if we're going to be looking at this team and saying, hey, they're back to being one of the best teams in baseball. You're coming in pretty hot. You're going up against a team that's really hot. You need to knock them off. You need to show them, like, we are that second best team in the division. We are that, because I still think they can be the second best team in the division. But they had such a rough stretch in May that they just kept losing series that they're in 4th right now. And maybe there's some bad luck in there, but right now the record is what it is. It's a game back, or they're at 500, something like that. And this is a huge series to be able to say, we knocked off a team that just swept the Dodgers. The Dodgers are 4-6 in their last 10. They're cooling down big time. So it's pretty. We need some big series from some of our stars, particularly Soto and Manny. And we got the right guys on the mound. I believe, especially with Lugo back, Weathers out of the rotation. I believe every rotation shift, I believe we're gonna have the right guys on the mound. Lugo's been doing good. Walker's been doing good. Snell's been doing good. Darvish is gonna get good. Musgrove's still good. So I think we're gonna be looking at a rotation that could be one of the top 10 rotations in all of baseball for the duration of the rest of the season. And the bullpen's already living up to what we expected from them, what they've been the past few years, except for back half of 2021, which is one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. So really all we're missing is the runners in scoring position. We're hitting for average, hitting in general with guys in scoring position. And they were able to do that occasionally this past homestand. Like I said, 5 for 25, but still came out on top, 4-2 in the homestand. However, still around 200, which is the worst mark in the MLB. So it's going to be the same story over and over. If the Padres want to win, it's going to be time to start hitting with guys in scoring position, start some situational hitting. And Chase, you brought it up earlier. What they've been doing pretty well is it's small ball. I mean, bunting and just moving guys over, getting sack flies. They've been doing that pretty well, and they've been winning that way. And that's great. But, you want to mix in some 2-3 run shots at the same time. You want to get some doubles in there because that's where the Padres have been lacking. And although they've been lacking that way, in that way, they have the lineup to be able to do it. So, Chase, what else do you think about this Giants series?
You mentioned it, the runners in scoring position has been killing us. The one other thing is, if we're going to hit bombs, can we at least hit, I don't care if they're not in scoring position, can there at least be a guy on first base when we hit some bombs? Because, which game was it? Was it against the Guardians or was it against the Rays where we hit 5 solo shots? We hit 5 home runs and all of them were solo shots.
Guardians, yeah.
Like, come on. Can we get one of those with a guy on base? I don't care where on base they are. Can we just hit a home run with someone on base, and can it not be a solo shot? Please. I mean, if you're not going to hit with guys in scoring position, at least hit a home run with a guy on first. That's all I ask. At least put up more than one run with a home run. Because every time we do it, it's like, oh, cool, we got a home run. Now we're up 1 run, and there's going to be guys in scoring positions the rest of the game that we can't hit in. But cool, we hit a solo shot.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's been the toughest thing is that when the Padres do hit home runs, there's no guys on base, and that's the thing. That I feel like that's what ends up killing us is whenever there's a 3-run shot against us, it feels like the game is over. Whereas some of the best teams in baseball, if they're down 3, they know that with one swing of the bat, they can tie the game. It doesn't feel that way for the Padres unless Fernando's up right now. And even then, he doesn't get many guys on base when he's up. So we're going to be looking for the Padres to hit with runners in scoring position this series. Like I said, the Giants are coming in hot. They just swept the Dodgers, who at one point were in first place. They fell down to second, but they've been a really good team. They're down 39-33, only 6 games above 500, but they've been a really good team up until this point. And the Giants swept them in LA. So we are facing the Giants at their pinnacle, at their highest point. So like I said, it's going to be super, super important for the Padres to be able to knock them off. All right, would you be happy with a split?
No, I'd be happy with 3 out of 4. I think you have to win 3 out of 4. A split does nothing for you. You don't gain ground, you don't lose ground. You need to gain ground.
Exactly. That's the thing. I completely agree. I don't think a split's going to do us any justice. I think you have to gain ground. You got to win 3 games. And the Padres recently have been playing pretty good against the Giants. So that's an encouraging thing. Going back to last year, at least they've been playing pretty good against the Giants. And we're going to have to see some more of that. We're going to have to see Soto start getting hot. We're going to have to see Manny start getting hot because, I mean, it feels like the whole season we've been waiting for all 4 of our superstars to get hot. And we haven't got it yet. We've gotten Soto at one point. Fernando got hot towards the back end of Soto's hot streak. Manny was hot, but Soto wasn't. Xander was hot to start the season, but Manny and Soto weren't. We're still waiting for that point where at least 3 of the 4 guys are hot. And if we're going to win this series, I feel like that is if that happens, if 3 of the 4 guys get hot, I feel like it's a guarantee that we will win this series. So we're going to need that for sure. I don't know what their numbers are. I mean, we know the Padres have faced Desclafani a bunch. They faced Wood a bunch. So I don't know what their numbers are, but at least there's some familiarity there. And I mean, I would love to see the Padres start taking some more bags, man. I know, Fernando's starting to steal a lot, but shoot, when Cronenworth's on, when Kim is on, when Grisham's on, start stealing some more bags because we're not going to be able to hit with runners on in general. Moving them over any way we can, getting them to the next base any way we can, being more aggressive is going to be super important.
Can we try some more? Like, we should try some more hit and runs because I know some of the guys are a little too patient. Right? Maybe having Grisham shorten up his swing and do a hit and run will actually cause him to get on base and maybe, actually get a couple more hits just because, hey, guess what? There's probably going to be a fastball down the middle, and we're going to force you to swing because we're having this guy steal for a hit and run. Can't leave the guy out to dry. And sure, if he whiffs, he whiffs. But at the same time, might be a good kind of area to, explore. We've been doing our small ball, we've been doing our bunts, but hey, maybe throw some hit and runs in there and see how it works out.
Yeah, definitely having some situational hitting, some situational type things for the Padres would be great. And like you said, you brought up the perfect guy to do it. I know he swings and misses a bunch, but he definitely needs to get some more confidence and find a better role for him. Trent Grisham, maybe you could do yeah, exactly, something like that. Because small ball's been working lately, and although I'm not the biggest fan of it, it's working and it's been winning us ball games. So, got to do what you got to do for sure. As far as pitching goes, we know that the Padres got that handled. They've been one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball. It's just the hitting. It's really just hitting runners in scoring position. If we're even hitting 225 with runners in scoring position, I bet we have an extra 2 or 3 wins at least. But we're hitting, I believe, around 200. So at least, right? At least 2 or 3 more wins. But we're hitting 200, and that's not good. So who knows? I mean, we know that if they're going to win this series, it's got to be with those situational things, and that's what the Giants have been doing good lately. I mean, they're coming off a 12-run game yesterday. The Giants hung 12 on the Dodgers yesterday. They're coming in hot, man. Coming in really hot. It's a bad time to run into the Giants, but I feel like we're a better team than them. So hopefully it ends up being a good series. Is there anything that you want to see out of someone this series? Is there anything that you're encouraged by from this past series? Or I actually saw a question up here that involved Ryan Weathers. Do you think we could get a DH for Ryan Weathers? What do you think?
I have no clue. Dude, I saw that, and I remember going back to, was it 21 when we were going to trade for Scherzer, and everybody thought we were crazy for trying to trade Ryan Weathers because when we looked at his Baseball Savant page, it was blue. It was blue. There was no way to describe it other than blue. And we're like, you know what? Maybe this kid, maybe we're getting the best that we can get out of Ryan Weathers, and trading him right now would be trading him at his highest value. And every time he goes out on the mound, other than the first game he pitched, he has just been lowering his value over and over and over and over and over again. Anytime he can't get more than 2 or 3 innings in, every team's going to see that and go, damn, Ruben Niebla can't fix him? Maybe we can't fix him either. I mean, if you send him to the Rays, maybe they can fix him. But outside of that, and maybe the Dodgers. But you're not going to make a trade with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are not going to trade with us. So that knocks out an option. And you're looking at teams that are rebuilding, and you're looking at teams that have a DH. They're not going to trade for Ryan Weathers. They've got their farm systems. They got their hitters. And they probably don't need him. There's not a lot of teams that need a Ryan Weathers right now. Yeah, he's an intriguing prospect because he can throw 97, 98 when he wants to, and maybe you make him a reliever. But right now, he's at his lowest value. And I feel like every time we talk about him, it's like, oh, he was at his lowest value. No, it is now. And when we talk about him in 2 months, if he's struggling in the minor leagues, his value is even going to be lower. So I don't know what to do with him. He's kind of in one of those areas where you can trade him, but you're not going to get a lot back for him. I don't even think you can get a DH. I think you might have to package him with someone to get a DH.
Yeah, and that's a great point. You know, it feels like Ryan Weathers is the prime candidate that a change of scenery would be great. I don't think he's going to be a great Padre. I don't think that's in the cards for him. He is really young. But it feels like not only the organization has soured on him, but him and his family, I feel like, have soured on the organization. And maybe that's just a change of scenery thing for him. But like you said, you would have to package him, and who would you package him with? What would you be able to get out of him? He doesn't have. I bet his value is like damn near nothing, like you said. You'd probably have to either take on a bad contract, or I don't even think you could get a rental for him. Can you get a rental for him? Probably not.
No, they're going to ask for more. They're definitely like, if it's a decent DH, they're going to ask for more.
Yeah, I feel like even if it's a rental, you're not going to be able to just give up Ryan Weathers. So either you try and heal that relationship between him, his family, and the organization, or you say, we're tired of it. We think he'll be better elsewhere. And maybe we can get a bench piece, something like that. But you don't really want to do that. That's what you did with Jake Marisnick. So that's a really tough situation, man. It's going to be one to monitor up until the trade deadline.
For sure, because I forgot Ryan Weathers' family is very adamant about him starting. He's a relief pitcher.
He's a relief pitcher.
He could be a great relief pitcher. That bullpen would be solid. His fastball would play more. He'd be sitting probably 97, 98. His breaking stuff still might need some reworking. It's just kind of, his fastball is very hittable for what it is. You really just need that kind of secondary pitch for him, and he would get his swings and misses. But right now, he doesn't have that. His fastball is one of his most hittable pitches. He's not getting swings. He's not getting swings and misses on any of his secondary pitches. He doesn't strike out that many people. And I would like to say, like, hey, that works. There's very few people in the league that make it work. Kyle Hendricks being one of them, and Mike Soroka being the other one. But Mike Soroka hasn't pitched since basically his rookie year, where he was an all-star, and he's slowly making his way back.
Yeah. And, right now the Padres are playing great baseball, and it'd look even better if he didn't pitch that game against the Guardians. It would have been a 5-1 homestand, which would have been we'd be looking at, again, one of the hottest teams in baseball. I still think they're one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, the Padres. But yeah, man, like I said, it feels like both sides of this relationship, they don't, it doesn't feel like they like each other. It doesn't feel like Ryan Weathers wants to be in San Diego, and it doesn't feel like the Padres really want him there either. And they've given him a lot of chances. That's the thing, is that they've given him chances. And yes, he's still super young. He's got time to grow. But like you said, dude, this guy's a bullpen arm. He's not a starter. At least from what we've seen, he doesn't have the pitch mix. He doesn't have the stuff to be a reliable starter in a rotation that's looking to win a World Series.
Yeah.
I think he could do that in the bullpen. But
100%. It's like, I think my favorite example of this is Ryan Weathers keeps getting the nod over everybody else over and over again. You go back to spring training. You look at the numbers that Jay Groom had, and you look at the numbers that Ryan Weathers had. And 10 out of 10 times, you're probably going to pick Jay Groom based on his performances, but the Padres went with Ryan Weathers. Yeah. Jay Groom should have, by all means, got the nod, and we should have seen what Jay Groom had in the major leagues for the period that, I forget who was injured at the beginning of the season, but for the period that I think it was Darvish. Darvish was both of them. Musgrove and Darvish. We should have seen Jay Groom, but we didn't, because Ryan Weathers got the nod, even though, I'm not gonna lie, he probably didn't deserve it. Jay Groom pitched his ass off and proved to them, like, hey, I'm here. I've improved my stuff. But no, Ryan Weathers got it.
Shit, yeah, you're absolutely right. And you even look at Julio Teheran. He's having good starts with the Brewers right now. He had good starts in spring training. He deserved the nod over Ryan Weathers. Yeah, and he deserved it. He deserved this. I mean, just based off, yeah, he hadn't pitched good innings in the majors before, or the years prior, but he was a good pitcher at one point. Julio Teheran was, and he had good stuff in spring training. He was nasty. He had good stuff in spring training. You weren't paying him much. You didn't really have to throw Ryan Weathers in that spot. But the one thing that it seems like the Padres and fans who still like Ryan Weathers are living off of is that start to 2021. It was only like a good month or two. It's not anything. Look, a lot of pitchers that start have a good month or two because no one has any film on him. No one knows his pitch mix. No one knows anything about him. But as soon as shit started clicking for other teams on his pitch mix, whatever it was, he became one of the worst pitchers in baseball. And now every start, go for it.
Even that he wasn't striking out guys at all.
It was all blue, like you said. It was all blue. His baseball savant page. So, going back to the whole trade thing, in our opinions, seems like you're not going to get much for him. So it's going to be a situation to monitor up until the trade deadline. And it's hard for me to say that I see him in a Padres uniform again after the deadline, because I do think he's a candidate to get packaged, especially with AJ Preller knowing, hey, look, I think my job is on the line. If I got to get rid of this young kid, I think he might do it.
And looking, Ryan Weathers, like as much as to say we don't need him, we might potentially need him. He might be one of the worst starters next year in all of baseball, but we need a guy to eat innings and be cheap.
That's true.
We have, until we have Lesko, Musar, Snelling all developed, and hell, even maybe Jackson Wolf developed. We're gonna need someone at least there to be a cheap contract, and he'll fit his role. He'll be a starter. It may be detrimental to the team, but he'll be a cheap arm.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. And that sucks. That sucks. Yes, you're absolutely right. So I don't really have anything else. It's a big series for the Padres coming up against a division rival. You need to take 3. That's both of our opinions. You need to take 3. Looking for some of these guys, some of our stars, to be able to put the team on their back and essentially do what they were supposed to do to start the season ever since the season started. A few of them get hot at one time. You're looking at the best lineup in baseball, one of the best lineups in baseball. We're still waiting. We're still waiting on that. The number one thing, which has been the number one thing ever since May, start hitting with guys in scoring position. Chase, you got anything else?
No, I think it would be very interesting to see. This is kind of going towards the end of the season, and kind of hopefully what prospects take a step forward, kind of where each prospect ends up. Just because we do have a lot of prospects that are developing pretty well. I kind of want to see where they end up, how well they get promoted. I mean, we've seen Snelling kind of make strides in the minor leagues right now. It looks like he should be getting a promotion. I know Jackson Merrill's hitting really well. There's been a couple guys in single A and double A, pitchers and hitters that, hey, you know what? I don't know how much longer you can keep them in this league. They're showing what they can do. Should promote them. I mean, we're going to need cheap contracts and good talent soon. So might as well let the guys that are breezing through their talent at their level, promote them. We need that development now.
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to the whole prospects thing, it's definitely going to be something to watch because there's young guys in that system, and of course there's guys that we're going to be expecting some production from. Hopefully, Eggy Rosario here soon. Campbell-Sono's not a prospect anymore. It feels like he still is, but hopefully we get some production from him. Ryan Weathers isn't a prospect anymore, but he's super young. But then you bring up guys, Dylan Lesko starting to throw, and he's throwing like high 90s again. Mazur's throwing really good. Jackson Wolf's throwing really good. Snelling's throwing really good. Merrill's looking good at the plate. Zavala's looking good at the plate. So this is becoming a good farm very fast. And it's only going to get better. Salas looked good in his first week, so it's only going to get better. But yeah, I think that's it. You got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, cool. So with that being said, hopefully the Padres are able to take 3 from the Giants in arguably the most important series of the year against a division rival. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later.